Hello students, today we continue with 11.4 and we are looking at embryo development. So we start off with the essential understanding that says that implantation of the blastocyst in the endometrium is essential for the continuation of pregnancy. So we need to understand what the term blastocyst means and what the term endometrium means. So below here we see a picture of the female reproductive system. And from SL, we should review these structures. So here we see the uterus. Let me make this smaller here. Here we see the uterus of the female. And then the lining of the uterus that is surrounded by these blood vessels here. This is what we call the endometrium. And here we see the right ovary. And here we see how an egg, an ova, is released from the ovary, and we see a sperm that's just about to fertilize it. So the first structure that forms after fertilization and fusion of the nuclei is a zygote. Then 4 days later, you start seeing the cells reproduce, and you start seeing a morula, which is kind of just like a ball of cells. And then from day 4 to about day 7 or 8, we start seeing the formation of the blastocyst, which is a structure that has an outline of cells and then an interior portion here of cells. And then the interior is kind of hollow because eventually it's going to gastrulate, which means it's going to invaginate, and it's going to continue differentiation. So sometime around day 7, we see the blastocyst implanting itself onto the endometrial wall. And it does this because it releases it degrades its jelly coat that surrounds the blastocyst, and it releases enzymes that will allow the blastocyst to implant itself onto the endometrial wall. And then in that location, the embryo, as it grows, it's going to get all of its nourishments and oxygen from the mother's endometrium. Eventually, this blastocyst, as it continues differentiation, is going to differentiate a placenta, which is going to hold the fetus, and it's going to provide the nutrients to the fetus. So here we see the early blastocyst development. So here we see a zygote. This is when the sperm first fertilizes the nucleus. Remember that until then, do we see the completion of meiosis II, and this is because at that moment of fertilization, there is an influx of calcium ions into the ova, and that's what's going to allow the completion of meiosis II. Here we see the morula after several mitotic divisions, and pretty much it's just a ball of cells. It continues to divide and differentiate, forming this interior cavity here that's kind of hollow. And then this inner mass of cells here. And it's that inner mass of cells that will develop into the embryo. The surrounding layer of cells, or the trophoblast, is what's going to develop into the placenta much later. And then the fluid-filled cavity is called the blastocoele. So that's a nice picture right there of the different stages within the embryo development. And these are early stages, of course. If we move further down, we see once again the implantation of the blastocyst within the endometrial lining of the uterus. And it's pretty quick, as you can see here, from the moment of fertilization to the moment that the blastocyst implants. It takes roughly anywhere from 6 to 8 days. Okay, so this was a quick video lesson. Hope you enjoyed it.